This is Monty with Bill Brothers, starting my digital inspection. We are at a property in the Scripps Pomerado area. And for these digital inspections, we always like to start underneath the eaves just to get an idea of the condition of the wood. Now the eaves consist of, we have the fascia board, we have the rafter tails, and then we have the starter board. And the eaves overall look very good. Looks like there was a somewhat fresh coat of paint on it, and it looks to be very, very nice. All right. So what we're looking at here is a concrete S-tile roof. Now there is drip edge and there is bird stop. This is very good. Drip edge allows for that water to freely flow off and not soak into the fascia board anytime it rains. And that bird stop prevents any fire embers from getting up and under these tiles, and prevents, well, hence the name bird stop, from getting up and under there as well. Now this house was built in 1999, and it has been updated since. And a telltale sign is because of that drip edge and bird stop. But what we want to pay attention to here is the felt paper underlayment. All right, this is going to be the key to the waterproofing capability of this roof, and it tells us, the overall condition. Now on this first part, or this first story, we do see a little bit of staining, a little bit of debris. So this felt paper has had some wear and tear on it. So I'm guessing it's a couple years old at least, but nothing too critical. So it does still have some of that gritty texture that we look for. And then another thing that I wanted to point out are the penetrations. This just happens with age. These seals actually begin to wear away after just baking in the sun for a couple years, and these seals begin to become broken. So definitely want to get that sealed up. The mortar appears to be intact around the roof to wall flashing. So we don't see any slip tiles. That looks good. We do have a little bit of cracking on a couple parts. And it looks like we have some cracking on the stucco as well. Just something I wanted to note. But yeah, looks like everything has been flashed properly. We do see step and counter flashing along the wall. Chimneys are always a sensitive area that we like to stop by and see if it is up to code. And yes, this does look proper. We do have the proper step and counter flashing. Looks all to be sealed, and there's a small cricket to divert that water to make sure that that doesn't pool up anytime it rains. So this looks good. I'll move on to the second story. Okay, now we're on the second story, and you can see here that we do have a solar system installed. And then we have a satellite dish. It's actually installed on the chimney. So that's a good sign. All right, something I want to point out are the penetrations. So the sealant is actually worn out on these penetrations. You can see that seal is actually broken. And we see the same thing on this one. So that just happens over time. Those seals begin to wear away, and then those become broken, and then is vulnerable to water and rain anytime it comes through. So that's definitely going to be a vulnerable spot anytime it rains. Now, we always like to look at the valleys just to make sure that these are evenly spaced, make sure that there isn't any debris that gets caught up and can cause that water to divert to the side and underneath those tiles. These are somewhat spaced. I do think they could be spaced out just a little bit more, but so far that seems good. You can see the mortar begins to crack on the ridge caps, so that will definitely need to be sealed up. But again, the most important part that we want to pay attention to on these tile roofs is the underlayment. That's going to be the key to waterproofing the the roof, right? So we always want to see the condition of the felt paper. We do see a little bit of staining and debris. So this felt paper has a little bit of wear and tear, but nothing too major. Looks like this roof was installed, you know, a few years ago, despite being constructed in 1999. Telltale sign that this, you know, was a recent install, somewhat, is the O'Hagan vents. So that's the exhaust ventilation. We like to see that. Now, something I did want to comment on as far as the solar mounts. The way these are installed is actually an outdated installation process. So what they used to do is they used to drill into the tiles themselves, and that's how they got the anchor points down. And then they would attach the rails to that. We no longer do this because, you know, this could pose as a leak potential in the future because of that, you know, drilling into the tile. And we have the same thing here. So actually what we do nowadays is something similar to what looks like the flashing, right? We actually get the anchor point and slide it under the tile itself so we don't damage it. So these look to be sealed, but just wanted to comment on that. For consistency, we want to check multiple parts of the roof, and yeah, the underlayment seems to be in fair condition. Again, we see the broken seal around this heat pipe. And then we do see some cracking on the mortar cap as well. Moving on over here. Again, there is a little bit of a gap in the valley, but could be a little bit more spaced out, in my professional opinion. So overall, I believe this roof is in fair condition. It looks like it was updated shortly after its construction. We do have drip edge, we do have bird stop on the perimeter. So my recommendation for this roof to prolong the life expectancy would be a roof tune-up. So what we would do is go to all the sensitive areas on this roof and reapply sealant. So all the penetrations, we would reapply sealant to that, make sure that those are closed, and then we'll actually repaint over them. And then the mortar on the ridge caps, we'll actually redo the mortar and make sure that none of these nails are sticking out like that. So those will get touched up. And then any debris that we find, such as this little critter over here, we'll be sure to get rid of, and advise the homeowner for any trouble areas that we see. So that would be my recommendation. Thank you.